Hey guys, welcome to my channel. For my first video, I wanted to do a cook and clean with me. So yeah, we're gonna start with the recipe and ingredients for my version of Italian kale soup. So here I have some potatoes, kale, heavy cream chicken broth, and mild Italian sausage. And I'm gonna go ahead and take that sausage out of its packaging. And you can use hot as well if you prefer. And I'm gonna break that off into chunks and put it in my pan on a medium heat. Then the next thing I'm gonna do is just kind of break it up with my spoon, or you can use a spatula, whatever you find easier. And you just want to make sure that you're breaking it up into small little pieces. You don't want a whole lot of big chunks of meat in your soup. And here you can kind of see that it's getting nice and brown, and once it is fully cooked, we're going to go ahead and add in a full box of chicken broth. I use low sodium chicken broth, but you can use just regular old chicken broth if that's what you have on hand, but I just prefer the low sodium so then I can kind of measure my own salt content. And then here you can kind of see that I'm just slicing up my potatoes. I did wash them beforehand. You can kind of see the white colander over there on the side. And I just like to slice these into about a 1/4 inch or an 1/8 of an inch slice, whatever you find easier to use with your knife. And they don't have to be perfect. I am not a chef. I don't have the best knife skills, but you kind of want them to be as consistently cut as possible, just so that way, you don't have one piece that's a full inch thick and then a piece that's a 1/2 inch thick, so it cooks at the same time. And then here I am just slicing up my kale. You can kind of see I'm showing you guys the stem, and I don't like to include those in my soup. They're not really tasty, so I'm just trying to cut off as much of the leaf as possible. And there's a whole ton of kale. I just got one bunch of it from the store for like 99 cents. I'm just going to cut all of that up. If you don't like kale, you can substitute for spinach. It's a little less abrasive in terms of its flavor. But this is one of Charlie's favorite soups, and it has kale in it in the traditional recipes, so I left it with the kale in there. Alrighty, so after a few minutes of that chicken broth getting nice and hot in the pan with the Italian sausage, I'm going to go ahead and add in my potatoes so that they can start cooking. Those are only going to take a few minutes. And while that cooks, I like to go ahead and clean up my kitchen, empty my dishwasher out, and things like that, just to get the kitchen nice and tidy. Okay, so now that the potatoes have been cooking for a while, I'm going to go ahead and add my kale in. And the trick here is to add it in just a little bit at a time, and then I mush it down with my spoon just to make sure it gets well incorporated in the soup and it can cook right. And I usually cook my kale for about 5 minutes. You can cook it for 10 to 15 if you like it a little bit on the softer side. But I like to only cook it for about 5 minutes because I like a little crunch in there. And then I'm going to go ahead and add in my heavy cream, and I add in about 1/3 to 1/2 cup of heavy cream, and this step is totally optional, but I do like the fact that it gives it a nice creamy consistency. And then I'm going to go ahead and serve it up in a bowl, and be careful because it is really, really hot and you don't want any of the broth to splatter anywhere. And the final thing I like to do is top it off with some oyster crackers. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button down below, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye!